Right, okie dokie, so moving on, let's move on to the next wheel, and we're going to do exactly the same as we've done on the last one. So let's start by taking off a little bit of the excess graphite. I mean, it doesn't matter too much because we're using very dark colours, but let's just get rid of it. Okay, and again we'll start with our black, and we can start coming around the inside, plotting in this area of dark. Remembering to move your hand if you feel you need to, or even move your paper if it's more comfortable, so you can get around those corners. So I'm just perfecting my arch here. And then I'll start to come around here. So you just do what works for you. I'm starting in different places, and then I'll move my hand to the uncomfortable position in a minute. So I'm just getting a bit of something down. Okay, so just coming all the way around now. And around here in this awkward bit. Just there. Okay. And again, I can start to build my colour, put in my deepest shadows, get some of these edges going on. I've just sharpened it on the sanding block so that I can have some nice sharp edges. So I'm going to come around and do these while this is all nice and needle sharp. Okay, that one. These are all mainly done up here because we've already got the shadow in there. And then we may just as well join them up because we're going to do that anyway. So we can make sure everything matches up neatly. So coming around in between each one. I'm just taking time. Again, no need to rush any of this. And just down to this bottom one here. Okay, now we can carry on just deepening up around here. And again, concentrating on the inside and then the outside. So building up some colour around the outside now. And we've got a bigger wheel here so we can get a bit more detail on. And then while I've still got my point, I'm going to gently come around the outside edge. And around here. Okay, and again, just filling in the shadow areas. Lightening as we come around here. Just there, and continuing on. A little bit of shadow here. Just bringing this slightly further. Okay, and then just thickening up a little bit around here. Coming to the edge. Just have a look. Just deepening up here. Bring in some soft colour to the outside. And gently coming around this bottom area here. Just there, let's just have a look. Okay, start moving into the middle now, and nice sharp point moving around this edge here. Let's get it all down first. Just going to deepen up and then thicken up slightly. Making sure we've got a really nice solid edge around there. And then we can just outline the rest for a minute. And then again, nice deep edge around the top of the silver center. And just a fine edge around the underneath. Deepening up around here. And just slightly thickening. And there we go. Okay, and then we're going to look at the spokes. So let's just start here. So we'll come down this side, putting on some of our shadow here. Just a little bit of shadow there. Okay, working around. It's always making sure we've got those nice sharp points, and if you don't, sharpen your pencil. Coming underneath there. Making sure the arch is correct. Okay, just going to sharpen the pencil. Okay, so I'm just going to continue adding a little bit just there, and onto this one. Just bringing that shadow in there. Okay, over to here. And I've got to be careful with this spoke, because we don't want to lose that little bit of red we've got going on underneath. So let's pop our shadow on here. On the outside, and then on the inside. Just going to deepen that edge again. Line in that edge there. Then this one. And then bring in a little bit of shadow in from here. On to the next one. Let's just get our spokes lined. And a bit of shadow put in under here. Reline the edge of that inner circle there. and this spoke here. And just popping the shadow down. Just altering the edge of this one here. Just moving around, and then this one here. Pop the bit of shadow in there. And then making sure that center is nice and circular. Okay, and I've moved the tracing paper across because we're actually going to map out this one as well while we've got the blackouts. It just saves a bit of time. And let's just get on with it. We can do the two of them together. So coming through the center first, just working on that area there. Just getting the middle line in and down. And so just gently coming around with some sharp points. Let's start coming around this side now. Twisting my hand so I can come around the bottom. And around to meet up just there. Okay, and then while the pencil's sharp, I'm just going to come around the edge here. And again, following along the underneath. Up around the edge. It's being very gentle around here. Okay. That's not quite correct, so I'm just adjusting. So because this wheel is closer to us, it's slightly fatter on this front side. Okay. And then while I'm sharp again, I'm going to come through the center and I'm just going to edge all around through here. May as well just get it done. And of course, if you're happy just following the process from the first wheel, you don't need to be sitting with me while I do every single bit, you can carry on and get on with it. And just skip ahead then to the trees. Okay, but for those of you who want to do it along with me, just carry on. We'll do it together. Just going to sharpen the pencil again. Okay, nice and sharp. Now I've sharpened it on the sanding block as well, and I'm going to continue round. Getting my hand in that awkward, horrible position under here. And around here. Okay, let's just have a look. A little bit wonky over here, so I'll have to clean that up shortly. Okay, I'm going to come around the centre while my pencil's still nice and sharp. And put in my lines around here. So I'm just going to get the outlines on first. Make sure that's correct. Let's do the inside as well. And then just twist so I can do this bit. Okay. Okay, and then let's darken up and thicken up across the top area here. And on the outside too. Let's add that nice deep edge that makes it stand out. Coming across the top there. And just thickening up slightly more. Just around there. Okay, start adding some shadows around the edges now. Staying away from our main highlights. I'm just going to edge the top here. Nice and gently as we come around that silver bit there. And just around here. Okay. And bring in some shadow to the inside now. So just mapping it all out, following along. Okay, bring a little bit of shadowing on this bottom edge. Just going to grab my Tombow, and I've actually found my little Tombow now, so I can go back to my favourite one. I've been stuck with the square one for a while, and while it's good, I do prefer the little round one. Okay, just going to bring a little bit of colour there. And then we're going to move along to the awkward bit. And I'm going to start deepening up on the outside. That was my phone. I haven't put it on silent again. Never remember to put my phone on silent. Okay. It's coming around. And correcting as I go. Just take a good look at this shape. And of course, when the shadows like this, it can look a bit odd and sort of off kilter, but don't worry. Okay. It's working up to that highlight, that main highlight that we want to leave. Just around the top there. Let's have a look. Okay. Right, just going to sharpen the pencil again, and we'll start putting in our spokes. So, coming down, bringing some shadow in. And don't forget, we'll be going over this with our Coral Grey 6 and adding more. And then blending and adding more. So coming down this side of my spoke here, in those little curved areas. Bringing the shadow around. Just going to come back to this one because it's just easier for my hand to get to right now. And pulling the shadow down there. Okay, on to the next one. Don't forget, we've got this little gap here between the spoke and the platform. And then we'll gently add that one in. Pop our shadow in at the base there, fading it out to the middle. And bring in a bit from the middle outwards. Next one. And some shadow out here. Just there. Gonna have to sharpen again. Okay, and let's come down the next one. And bring a bit of shadow down. Just going to deepen that little bit there. And deepen my edge around the centre. So that stays nice and bold all the time, gives it that raised look. Okay, on to the next one. Just there. And bring in shadow in here. Fading out. And I'm just going to redefine the edge, just not as thick as around there again. Okay, and we can move to our last one now, once again being mindful of that little bit of white space between these two. So let's come up this side first. Okay, got that one in there, and let's pop our little bit of shadow on. Okay. Right, okie dokie. Okay, so moving to our cold grey 6, I'm going to move the tracing paper over slightly while we do the first one, and then we'll move it back again. Okay, so let's start adding a bit more colour, deepening up. So coming around here. Pulling a little bit of colour in. Just gently. Bringing this bit around the edge here. Just looking, see what we're working with. Bringing some in around here. Okay. Underneath here. Just gently bringing a bit in around there. And a little bit more through the top towards main highlights. So just neatening everything up as I go as well. Around this area. Just having a look here. Bringing some colour in around this edge. So just seeing what we've got going on. Gently around the bottom there. Okay, just going to sharpen the pencil. And just going to come around here. Deepen up that area there. Okay, and then I'm going to come over our shadows on the spokes now and start working down through these. So adding some more depth, leaving some small areas of highlights. Fading out through the middle on that one, and I'm just going to deepen up at the edge there. Correct that as I see it. Okay. Deepening up and then working downwards. And moving across. Over to this one. Just neatening up that edge there. And down here, leaving a little bit of highlight there. Okay. And then into here, we'll just gently start to come around the underneath, or rather around the left hand side and sort of underneath. Working on this side. It's there, with our brightest highlight being just up here. So being mindful of that this time. There we go. Okay, I'm going to sharpen the pencil. We're going to do the same on the other wheel. Okay, so let's go for it. So let's start to bring in the colour. Can sharpen up this edge a little bit. Bring that slightly lower this time. Okay, and coming around. saving that highlight there. Bringing a little bit of this up into here. So just keep following round, working it all. Let's have a look. Extending the shadow slightly further now. And gently working a little bit through the bottom here. Just moving my hand around. Okay. Coming in from this edge a little bit. A little bit of colour around here. And building up around this edge. Just changing the light dynamics slightly to accommodate that we're in a different position. It's only slight. The main features are still exactly the same. I've still got that highlight over here. Just moving it slightly further along so it hits right there. And then bringing in some colour on the underside. Deepening that line. Working through. Okay, let's have a look. Right, just going to sharpen the pencil. Okay, and let's continue down on our spokes. So deepening the shadow up, bringing a bit of a lighter colour, and then leaving that area of highlights. Moving to the next one, exactly the same. That little bit of light. I've got hiccups. Hate hiccups. They drive you absolutely insane, don't they? Does anybody know a good way to get rid of hiccups? Because I've tried so many and none of them ever work, do they? So it'd be interesting to know if somebody knows of something that does actually work to get rid of hiccups. Okay, on to the next one. And down here. Moving around. And to our last one. Just there. Right, okay. So let's just come to the inner portion now. Add any little bits that we need. Remembering to leave that highlight there. Okay, and now we're just going to go back to the black and deepen up anything we feel needs a bit extra at this point, because we are going to come back in again. So just get a bit of depth on before we start to blend. And deepen this edge here. As I said, don't worry too much, because we are going to come back in, rectifying that edge there. I've got this strange bit of shadow here, I'm just adjusting it. There we go, that's better. And we're going to bring a little bit just there. Once again, deepening up that very dark area there. Let's look on the other wheel. Deepening this bit here. Correcting anything that I need to while I'm there. Let's have a look around this side. Just there. So I just keep sitting back, having a look, observing, seeing what's needed, what's going on. Deepening that bit there. Okay, right, and let's start blending. So coral grey 2, and we'll start coming through and blending this colour out. Just avoiding the main highlights. And not forgetting that we will be coming back in. So just coming through the top here. Gently working towards that main highlight there. Going around. Blending that edge. And go around this outside first. Just grab my dusting brush. Be careful around the bottom here. Dusting brush again. Changing the angle of my hand. Working through. And then I'm going to continue through the inside now. Just blending away. As I said, don't forget we're coming through with a darker colour again. Okay, nice. Let's start to blend these spokes now. Keep away from the darkest darks. You want to try and retain those. I'm just going to sharpen my pencil because it's not sharpened now. Okay, let's just continue. Working along, pulling this colour together through here. And this one. And the next one. And over to the last one. I take a little tiny bit of cold grey one. Oh, I forgot I spoke. Let me just go back to that one. Just take a little bit of cold grey one now, and I'm going to go along the lightest edges. Just add a extra little bit of light there. Okay, and you use the cold grey one to come around in here as well. Just around to there. Right, okay, let's go and sharpen those pencils. And let's repeat it on this second wheel. So I'm going to start at the bottom in my awkward place. And just start moving along and blending out. So cold grey 2 first of all. Working around the outside. Pulling all that colour together nicely. So these more opaque colours, these light cold greys, they just give this lovely blended look. Same as white and ivory. They've just got different tones, that's all. Coming around towards the highlight there. Working around the outside. Being careful where I'm near the edge. Dust off. Just going to grab my Tombow and just neaten that up slightly. And then use my putty rubber to pick up the rubbings. Okay, coming around the inside now. Blending all this colour out. Working along. Around the bottom now. Leave a little bit of a highlight there on that little edge. I'm just going to sharpen the pencil and we'll come into our spokes now. Again, staying away from the darkest areas. So just blend, blend, blend. Putting it all together. Just give it a dust. Okay, over here. I'm not forgetting this one this time. Okay, going to go to the coal grey one. Blend that out. Leave that little area of light. Just going over those areas. I'm going to put a little bit of this through here now. Let's have a look. Okay, and we'll use this to blend this area here. Right, okie dokie. Right, so back to our black. So I've sharpened it up nicely, and let's start bringing back that contrast and adding some more depth. Now that we've got everything nice and blended. So coming around nice and gently, looking to see where I need additional pigment and depth. Looking to see where my shadows can be slightly darker. Darkening the edge of that wheel up there. And the inside. Okay, coming around. Just having a good old look to see what's what. Stroking on in certain places just to make it the job slightly easier. Just correcting as I go while I see it. Taking a little bit of coal grey one. Lightening around there to adjust. Let's have a look. Just pulling towards that main highlight a little bit. Okay, and then we can start to deepen around this edge. And following round. Just having a good look every time I pause to see exactly what's going on, exactly what's needed. Working a bit more lightly. Just there, taking my Tombow, rectifying anything that's not quite correct. gently, gently coming around the bottom. Just there. I'm going to bring a bit of depth just down here. Let's have a look. Bringing some colour up on the inside. Underneath that bright highlight. And just going to correct this arch here. Okay, so just always having a good look, seeing exactly what I'm doing. Just going to sharpen the pencil. I've got my black sharpen, but I'm just going to take a little bit of the grey, just deepening up along that inner rim, but not harsh black. Leaving a little bit of highlight there, adding a bit more here. Just there. Taking my black again. Defining that edge, and once again using the Tombow to rectify anything that's not perfect. Okay. Having a look, I'm going to bring a bit more black to these edges, just along there. Coral grey one, and just bringing a bit of highlights along that rim, just in the edge with the black. So just constantly going between these three colours, making adjustments as I see fit. Deep, deep black along here. Nice dark rich colour there. Okay, and then I'm going to come back to my spokes, and I'm just going to start to deepen up shadow where I feel we need it. Okay, coming around. A little bit more depth around here. Over here. Just there. Just along that one. Here. Here. Just trying to make everything pop now. It's Just there, nice high contrast. Okay, and again, let's just really amp up that black edge there. And this little bit in here. Right, okay, let's sharpen the pencil now. I'm going to come in with a tiny little bit of our Pueblo white, smooth out that top highlight there. Make sure that's nice and smooth along with the rest of the bits and pieces. Just going to drag some through in certain areas. So I feel could benefit. Back to my black. Need to re-edge just there. And I'm going to deepen up under here. Just there. So just adjusting slightly. There we go, that's better. Right, okay, let's move on to the next one. Okay, so let's start on the edge here. We've got a nice sharp point. It's an important edge, this is, coming around here and here. So deepening up there as we lead towards the highlight. And around here, come around that edge. So just really looking at everything again, paying lots of time and attention to observing, looking at the shadows, looking at the highlights. And this now really makes this reflection on the front of the train pop nicely. Really dark in here. That's the darkest area, that is. Gently coming around the edge of the wheel. A little bit of depth there. Let's look and see what we've got. Deepening around here. Let's just dust off. A bit more depth there on that underside. deepening up here, that edge. Okay, working around. Adding in extra dark here. Working around towards that main highlight. Just going to sharpen my pencil again so I can neaten that edge. Okay, so it's nice and sharp now. So I'm just going to come in with my point and gently neaten everything up. Slowing down. Taking my time there. Just taking a good look. Tombow. Minor corrections. Just there. Okay. And I'm going to continue going, so I'm going to come up here, bring some dark underneath our main highlights. Okay, just taking a good look. Look at the shape. Okie dokie. Just going to deepen up my edge here. And I'm going to bring a bit more colour to this. Just around there. I'm going to take my coal grey one. I'm just going to blend this out a little bit more. Just having a good old look, see what needs doing. Gonna adjust that there. Bring in some more dark. Around in here. So just like the other one, just going around until you're happy with the look, the shape. So I'm just going to keep having a good look, with a bit more depth around this area here. Just there. Just going to take my Pablo whites and run it through that highlight there. Like that. Let's see. A little bit just on that edge for brightening. A little bit just there. And I just feel like I need to adjust this here once more. Right, I'm just going to sharpen the black again. And again, we're going to come into our spokes. So, and these lines, and if we can deepen any of our edges up. Just going to give that a bit more of a pull there. Okay. Depth under here, just there. On this side here, nice bit of shadow there. Just make sure that that is correct. Coming around here, adding more depth directly under there. Deepening up our very dark edge again and just pulling a little bit of depth off that. Just under here. The next one. Okay. And along here. Up around here. Not forgetting to lift pressure when you need to. It's going to deepen that one just there. And just come around that side there again. Right, let's have a good look now. Right, okay, so I've just pulled this out so we can have a nice good look. This is looking good. That wheel looks lovely against the rest of the train. It looks like it's popping forward, so I'm quite happy with how we are. I'm sure I'll want to go back and mess with things because I just can't help it. And I can just see one thing there, just going to coal grey one. Just a little bit of dust, there we go. Right, so I'm going to go to the coal grey 3, which is the 232. I'm just going to put a bit of shadow in these inner silver bits. So just around there. And around that top bit. Do the same in here, slightly different. Just around there. And here, using that tiny little brush, if I can find it, that is, just to blend that in slightly. Okay, and I'm just going to leave those at that. Right, so we're going to move to the front of the train now, and we're going to complete this little area here. So I don't know the actual proper term for this. I'm not very au fait with train terms, I'm afraid. So, but we're going to complete that bit. Now, as you can see, there's some sort of not very well applied silver paint on this. So we're going to ignore that and we're going to keep it black with some nice highlight on so it matches the wheels. So we're going to use our black pencil again. Going to make sure it's nice and sharp from the sanding block, and we're going to start by outlining the entire shape. Nice and carefully. And I'm going to come down from here. Then I'm going to leave just a little bit of a broken bit there where there's a highlight and start coming around there again. Okay, just looking because that bar goes underneath there, so we do need an edge here. A little bit broken where there's a highlight there. The bar continues to come around here. So we're being very careful with what we do. I've got a little bit of a fork there. A little section there. So we'll come down from this one now. Just there. From the top. And I'm going to leave again a little bit of a gap for a highlight. Just making sure that this edge here is correct. It looked a little bit straight to me. That's better. Next one. Down the back and curve in. From the front, and again another bit of a highlight, this time slightly higher and then down to meet that area there. I'm going to come along the bottom now. So if you need to turn your page or your hand, go ahead. We're going to come around here and we've got a bit of a highlight right on there, so we're not going to come along here, but we are going to put a little bit there. Let's have a look. Right, okie dokie. Okay, so we're going to start working on the edges now, bringing some depth in. So we're keeping our movements nice and short. Softly coming in from the edge. And go over that again. So it's got 2 layers. So we're in a very short space to work here. So we need to be nice and careful with our movements. Coming around here, we need to graduate that round that corner there. I'm going to come to this inside edge now. Again, small movements to there, and we're going to pull this slightly round the corner there. On to the next underside. All the way down. Got a bit short at the top there. Let's just bring that back up. And again, I'm just going to sort of follow around a little bit at the corner at the bottom. Just going to make sure this reaches the top of that platform there. And I'm also going to now start to extend this slightly, so we've got a little bit of shadow under there. So you can see what I'm doing. I'm just pulling around gently and graduating that shape, just to give the appearance that these bars are round, not flat. Okay. I'm going to sharpen the pencil again. It's really important that the pencil is sharp at all times here. Okay, and the one thing I missed was this little bit at the back there. So we've just got where this comes round, just sneaks through there. So I'm just going to put the tiniest edge there, and that's it. Okay, and just make sure it matches up there. It's just going to deepen that back edge up a little bit, and this one, and this one. I'm going to come a little bit more inwards on this outside one because it's closer to us and it's slightly thicker, just there. Right, let's have a look. A little bit of shadow on this bar here. Again, just coming round, and we're going to put a little bit of shadow coming around the inside here. Very careful. Okay, let's dust that off. Just making sure everything's correct there. Okay, and very, very gently bring a little bit of colour. You can see how gently this is, just from the top there, and just slightly there, just accentuating just a couple of little bits just to add a slight bit of shadow. Okay, and then on that area, and I still didn't put my phone on silent. So crap with my phone. Right, okie dokie. Okay, so moving to our cold grey 6, which is the 235. Let's go over our black area. Just deepen up slightly. And we're going to extend it slightly into the white space. Again, really short, tiny movements. Really gentle. Coming around there. And around here. This is the part where you don't breathe, because if you do, you might make a mistake. Okay, down the next one, so over the black first, and then gently, gently, gently into the white space, just a little bit. And down from the top. Just looking at these lovely areas of highlight that we're leaving. On to the next one. Down the back again. Gently, gently into the white space. just there. Okay, if you need to sharpen your pencil at all, then do so. Just looking and making minor adjustments. Okay, around the bottom here. So just going to come in from that edge there, gently, gently. Okay. Okay, and coal grey 2, so 2, 3, 1. Now we're just going to start to stroke through there. It's still leaving a highlight, just making it nice and blended like we did on the wheels. Very gently come in around this edge here. Always leaving that little bit of highlight. So just blending the colour, making it nice and painterly almost. Coming around the corner there. Just looking to see what we're doing, making sure that our form is correct. Nothing more important than form. Okay, into this tiny little bit there, and then we can start coming through this one. Don't forget, we can deepen up in a minute. You haven't got to worry if you feel like you've lost some depth. This is just to get everything nice and blended. Again, dust off. Just going to pull that through a little bit more there. Okay, and down this one. Just making sure to leave those nice bright white highlights. And come in here a little bit more. Back there. Right, okay, now really sharpen your black, nice and sharp. And let's come back to those shadows. Deepen up that outer edge, add a bit of contrast, give it some high shine. Very careful, and we need a sharp point all the time here. So as soon as it starts to disappear, sharpen it again and bring it back. Okay, so just putting back any of the depth that we need that we lost. So contrast always just aids us in giving that real high shine and making sure that the form is correct. It's what makes things look 3D. Just going to take my Pablo white, just run that through there slightly. Okay, got that lovely disappearing edge there now. Okay, on to the next one, and again I'm bringing back my dark outer edge. tiny movements to just put back anything I've lost. Just there. And just going to go through that with the Pablo white. It's nice. On to the next one, and again deepening up at the back of the bar. And directly under there, tiny movements. Pablo, just looking at that highlight there. I'm going to bring the Pablo around this highlight here. Just there. A really thin line there, okay. And just deepening up that little bit. And that little bit there. And not forgetting about that little bit of bar right at the back. Lovely, okie dokie, so I'm happy with that, so let's leave that alone. Right, okay, so let's do our chimney stack. So just this column here, and once again we've got a bit of a rubbish paint job on there, so we're going to ignore the paint job, and again we're going to pretend it's black, all black, just like the wheels and that bit at the front. Okay, so let's nice sharp black again, start to outline the edge of the chimney first of all. Coming across the top, giving the top a very slight curve. Nothing much because we can't actually see the inner, so we don't want it to be as though we can see into it. And just coming down the edge lightly on this side, because this is where our light's going to be hitting, as we can see from the front of the train, so we need to keep that lighting consistent because we're making it up off the fly. Okay, so let's start to bring some form to this. So we're going to come around and we're going to make it a little bit more cylindrical at the bottom. So putting that slight curve on, just like we did at the top, just helps to aid the shape there. Okay, so we're going to start at the side and start working in a bit of a band of black. Okay, so we're going to bring it out about this far, and I'm going to re-go over that, making sure the edge is correct. So I've still got a bit of a sharp point, and I'm just going to deepen up that colour by adding another layer to it. In fact, I'm going to bring it out slightly further, so around there, and again just deepen up that little bit there, just making sure that this is nice and even. And then I'm going to bring a little bit down the top here, and stopping there because the light is hitting it there. Okay, cold grey 6, and let's go over the top of what we've done, deepening up the black that we've got down so far, and then gently working into the white space a little bit, lightening the pressure, and coming over to this side nice and gently, coming down just a tiny bit. I'm just gonna work that a little bit more there. Okay, now let's go to cold grey 4, which is 233, and we're not taking this over the black because it will alter the tone, so just taking it from the middle through and here and here, just there. Now we're going to come to our cold grey 1, and we are going to start to just blend the inner portion of this. So just here, around here, and I'm going to leave a little area at the bottom there where I've got the brightest highlights. So let's just dust off. Where's my white? Going to come through that with a little bit of white, so it will pull a tiny bit of the colour in. Give it a nice bit of graduation. And bring the white just through that area there. Okay, so we've got that soft painterly look now. Just going to blend that a little better. And then we're going to go back to our colours and rebuild. So let's go back to our black. Nice and gently. Coming in, through, just to about there. Just bringing a little bit down through the edge at this side. I'm going to take the Pablo white and just run a little bit across the top there, so it just gives us that idea, just helps to show that curve. Back to the cold grey 6, and again a little bit more just up here and down here, just keeping it nice and light. Just going to sharpen it on the sanding block because I want to just bring it down that edge just a little bit, just there. Cold grey 1, sorry, just coming back through there, just giving it that nice little bit of light, a little bit at the bottom, softening that out. Pablo white, again just adding that extra bit of light there. Back to the black, and we're going to come around our edge at the bottom and just work it a little bit. Some small movements. just there. Lovely, right, and there's our stack as well. Okay, so we are back at the beginning and we're going to start working on our little trees now. So we're going to put the baubles on first and then do the actual trees last of all. So we're going back to our reds and we're going to start with Caput Mortuum Violet. We need some high contrast now to get the shine on these little balls. Just going to move this across a bit more. I do not want to be smudging that red anywhere after we've spent so long on it. So, okay, we'll start at this little top one here. Now, what we want is some really nice dark to make sure that the light, the little areas of light stand out nicely. So I'm just popping on all of the shadow bits first, and I'm going to do that for all of them. We'll just work across nicely. So just coming around nice and gently with that Caput Mortuum Violet. And we're just looking at the shadow shapes here. Okay, that's all we're looking at. Some weird little shapes where there's reflections of things. A little bit of dark there where the pines come over and cause a bit of shadow. To the bottom one. Now we've got a hole on this bottom one where it's the hole of the bead, so we're going to ignore that and we're going to pretend it's like the one above it. So you've got to sort of use a little bit of imagination for this when you are repositioning lights and using a little bit of artistic license to make things more aesthetically pleasing. Okay, let's come over here. So our dark sort of comes around here. Like that. And on the bottom one here, let's come around the outside edge. Okay, so just concentrating on what's going on here. Again, we've got a hole at the top of this one, so we've just got to ignore that. Okie dokie, right. Okay, I'm going to move straight to my deep red now. So that's the 223, and we're not going over the Caput Mortuum that we've just put down. We are coming next to it and in between it and around just where we need to. Okay, let's move over here. So we've got a bit of it just down there. It comes in here. Around there. A little bit there. Down to the bottom one. Just in there. let's just dust off. Over here. Looking to see what we've got. Comes around the back there. Around the side. Okay. And then this one, it comes in between the bit of Caput Mortem Violet there. Round. Okay, onto our pale geranium lake, and that's going to make up the pale bit of red. So I'm just working across. So looking at these little bits of space and just popping a tiny bit in there. A little bit of colour here. And around here, just there. Okay, I'm going to sharpen the Pablo white, and I'm going to sharpen it on the sanding block as well. Okay, and I'm just going to run a little bit of white through in the areas that we've just had that pale geranium lake, so creating sort of orangey red highlights and leaving our brightest highlight white. So just there. I'm going to go back to that pale geranium lake and just add another little bit of something wherever I feel needs it. Amping up contrast. So just coming over. Just want the high shine on these little balls here. And then back to Caput Mortem Violet. Just give that a little sharpen, and anything that you think needs to go a little bit darker, add a bit more contrast, a bit more shine, and just pop that in there as well. So these little balls will look better once the trees actually aren't. Just going to tidy up the edge of that there. And if you've lost your white highlight, don't worry, because we are going to be using some white gouache or a white Posca or a white gel pen or something to put the snow on, so you can pop your little highlights back on with that. It's going to go back to my deep red. Add some tiny bit more bits of contrast. It's very hard in a small space to get everything perfect. So we just want to make sure we've got this sort of essential look of it, if you like. Right, okay, let's go and find some greens. Okay, so let's begin on our trees, and we're going to start with cold grey 6 for the centre, so that's the 235. So that's for all the dark shadow where the tree looks the fullest, and then it becomes sparser as the pines splay out to the side. Now, what we don't want to do is make the trees look like they do in the toy and make them look plasticky. So we are going to do it slightly differently. So, excuse me, we're going to start with the tree that's sitting in the front. And we are going to, let's just sharpen that cold grey on the sanding blocks. I've got a nice edge. Because I've got to be careful of this roof here. So I'm going to come around the roof. Just give myself a little bit of an edge to work off there. Okay. And underneath. Now what I don't want you to do is be concerned about the snow, because we, as I said, we're putting the snow on with a little bit of white gouache after, so just don't worry about that at all. So what we're going to do is we're going to just gently come through the middle of the tree. So we'd have the trunk through here. So this would be the darkest area. So we're just going to create some shadow in the center of the tree. By just building up some nice depth with grey and then with the greens that we're going to put on. Okay. So on a decent, we want to come over quite far. So just going through the centre with our small circular motions, and we're just lifting as we get towards the edges there. Just going to bring this slightly further out here. Okay, keeping the bulk of the depth right down the centre. Just going to come around the baubles gently. Just keep working down. Getting this area of shadow on first, and again lifting as we come outwards. So just keep working down with that shadow. And then we've got some depth, real depth down the bottom here where it disappears into the little cart there. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take some black in a second and pop a little bit of black at the bottom, just gently coming up the side of the door here, and I'm just going to pop a little bit of an edge on all the way up, and just gently work my shadow up to that. Okay, just going to pop a little bit more colour just there. Oh, dropping everything. I'm going to take my black and I'm going to work some of this right down in here in this darkest space, and not forgetting, so you will have forgotten because it's been such a long time ago that we actually did this, but we've got this little highlight on this edge. So we're just going to butt up to that nice and gently and come off it. lightening the pressure as I move towards the outside, coming up to meet the grey. And just deepening in this really dark corner bit here. Just there. So let's just have a look at this edge, make sure this is correct, because it won't do for it to not be. There we go. Lovely. Okie dokie. Right, okay, so now we've got all that grey down, we're going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to take my Mono Zero eraser, my little tiny circular one, and I'm going to take my small pair of very sharp scissors, and I'm just going to cut off the tip like that, so that it's got a really nice sharp edge all the way around and nice and clean, okay? And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just spend a little bit of time just pulling through. Let me just get my dusting brush. Just pulling through some little areas of light that behave as though they're sort of branches on the tree. So this is very, oh gosh, just absolutely obliterated my camera there. This is very subtle, so I don't need to think, you know, we're going to get these really great lines coming through. We're not. This is just to add a tiny little bit of light. And just down that one side there, we started. We can try and bring a few little bits through on the right hand side. It doesn't really matter. It's just this left hand side that I want to hit mainly. Okay, so that when we put the green on, we've just got these flashes of light through there. Right, okay, right, okie dokie. And the first green we're going to go in with is Pine Green, which is number 267. Okay, so we're going to start at the top here in the centre, and we're going to work over our dark shadow colour. So being careful when we're close to the edge. And I'm going to keep it in the middle for the moment. So just building up some depth over this, where the thickest part of the trees that's facing us. So just sort of working down the trunk. Going to get a little bit closer to those baubles. Okay, so just coming through the middle here. Just building up the saturation a little bit. Again, just getting a little bit closer to those baubles. Coming down to our darkest shadow area at the bottom here. Getting right in there. Bring it right down to the edge of the cart there, sitting behind. Okay, and now I'm going to sharpen this pencil. Okay, so now that it's nice and sharp, what we're going to do is we're going to start to work outwards and just start to emulate the look of a few branches. So thinking about the way in which they would sit. Okay, so the branches would be shorter at the top longer towards the bottom, obviously. So just going to start to pull through the suggestion. Just going to be careful down the side of that. And pull a few from behind the bauble there. Got shorter ones sitting facing us and then longer ones coming out to the side. So it would be right face on in the centre there, so they'd be very, very short. So just pulling some of those through. And we'd see some coming off to the side as well. In that sort of fan shape. Just building up. Okay. It's going to sort of come back in a little bit there just to make it a little bit darker. And then we've also can't forget about this bit here, so we've got to make it, we've got to make sure everything flows in the right direction. So we've got this little bit that's sat behind the window there. Okay, right, and I'm now going to take some chrome oxide green, which is number 278, and I'm going to add some slightly darker bits in here. Just being mindful of that roof there. I'll come down here a little bit. Just the odd one or two. I'm not going to add as many as we did. I'm just going to come around that bauble there. Okay, so just following through, coming to the other side and keeping in line. Just going to add a couple through there. Okay, I'm going to take my coal grey 6 and just bring a couple of very dark marks just through the centre, just so we're retaining that depth at the bottom there, and close here, and just there. Okay, I'm going to go to juniper green now, which is number 165. Just got a lovely blue tone in, and I'm just going to keep this to the outside edges really. Start pulling through a few lighter branches towards the outside. building up nicely. I'm going to come close to the bauble here now. Just sort of come from underneath here, just a little bit of shadow there where it's sitting in the tree. A few of these at the side here, just there. And then the last colour I'm going to go in with is earth green, which is number 172, and just add a few little flicks of this out to the side, mainly around the top there. So we've got some bits of light coming through, but when we add the snow on as well, that's going to look even better. Okay, so onto the next tree. Just going to take off the little bit of graphite that we've got to get rid of that. I'm going to go to my cold grey, the cold grey 6, which was the 235, and we're just going to start to put in the depth of the stem here. Now, I haven't sharpened my pencil. Why didn't I do that? Let me just quickly do that now. Working with a horribly blunt pencil there. Okay, gently coming up to the bauble. Now there's much depth in this tree. Obviously it's not as big, it's not as, doesn't need as much. So I'm just coming down the centre, around the baubles, a little bit out to the side. Here, down towards the bottom. I'm going to bring a little bit out there. And down to the lip of the truck. Let's make it a tiny little bit darker down the bottom here. And just right through the middle. Okay. Just going to take my tumbo and just pull through a few tiny bits of light here. Just there. Just dust off and try not to hit my camera this time. So just going to sharpen the pine green. Okay, so I'm going to again come through the centre, come up a little bit, come up close to the baubles now. Should run over our shadow area first. Look. Okay, and then we'll start to a little bit of a tall top on that one. Again, shorter in the centre where the branches would be facing us, working out to longer at the sides. And we're going to make these sit behind this tree as well. So coming out from underneath our little bauble there. Taking those branches behind my front tree. Again, shorter in the middle. So I'm just going to sort of work up a little bit more shadow around that area there. Keeping a bit of light so that we can see that this tree is sat in front. Just there. It's going to bring a little bit of dark in that way. So just amping up the depth down there a little bit. And coming back to this side. Underneath our bauble. Just down there. Just going to make sure we come up to the, just going to pop a little bit of shadow under there. Okay, sharpened our chrome oxide green, and we're going to bring again some few little darker branches through here, mainly through the middle, just the odd one or two out to the sides. Especially as we get down here, we can add a few darker ones. Okie dokie. I'm actually going to pull a little bit more dark through this centre here. Now that I'm looking at it. Just there. And I'm at, well, I've got that bit of a point, so I'm going to give this one a bit of a taller topper as well. Just there. Alright. Over to juniper green next, and we'll just pull a few of these through. And just keeping it consistent with a few different colours of branches there, and a few little earth green just to give us a few little pale wispier ones. They're just catching the lights. There we go. Right, okay, right, okie dokie. So now is the time to add a bit of snow to our branches. So we're going to use some white gouache. I'm using this one. It's just titanium white gouache from M. Graham and Co. Brand does not matter. If you want to use a Posca, if you want to use a jelly roll pen, whatever you've got to hand, up to you, totally fine. I'm putting a little tiny bit of that white gouache onto my palette next to me. And I'm going to take a little brush. Where have you gone? Here you are. So the little brush that I'm using is this one from Princeton. It's a number 2 round. I'm just going to wet the brush, take the excess water off on a bit of kitchen towel, and I'm just going to add a tiny little bit of water to the gouache on my palette so that it's pliable and so that it's not just, you know, mega thick gouache. Okay, and I'm going to pick that up and I'm going to start dotting about some bits of snow. So, and what's nice about this is that with the brush you can be completely random and you can add as much or as little as you want, if it'll tap on, that is. Let's just add to the end of the boughs there. Just going to grab a little bit more. So I'm looking at my branches and just popping on. I'm going to move my brush around so that my splodges are a bit more random. I'm going to grab a tiny little bit more water and just work that a little bit thinner. And just randomly pop on some blobs. I'm going to adjust that there. Okay. Let's just have a look. Okay, gonna grab a little bit more and start to dot some on the next tree. So you can have some bigger areas, some lighter areas. Let's grab a little bit more. Just going to add a tiny little bit more water, so every time it dries out I'm just loosening it off a little bit. A little bit behind there. The ends of these branches here. A little bit more. Moving around. Just dotting these little bits of snow everywhere. Okay. Just going to make a bit more of a longer shape of that. Let's have a look. And pop a little bit more just around here. And not forgetting these branches at the side as well. Okay, right, just gonna give my brush a good wash. Right, okay, so I've zoomed it out so we can see the whole thing, and I'm really happy with how that's looking. It's ever so nice, so I'm really pleased with it. So there's just a couple of little things. So while we've got that white gouache out, I'm just going to pick a little bit up, a little bit thinner this time. Just going to add a tiny little bit more water. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a bit more of a highlight to this ball here. So I'm just coming straight into the middle there, and I'm just going to pull that out to the side, and then a tiny little bit of one there, just to give it a bit more of a shine. Also just going to pop a little bit right here and here, where it's just managed to catch a little bit of pink inside. So just popping a little bit there. Let's have a look. just going to pick up a little bit more gouache, make it more fluid. And if you really wanted to, you could make your wheels have an extra bit of high shine and just pop in tiny little bits on this bright highlight edge here. There you go. Tiny little bit on there. Have a little bit of light in the center of the wheels. Just there. And I think that is about it. So if you're now looking at it and thinking you want to adjust anything, you're thinking your shadows aren't dark enough somewhere, or anything like that, now is the time to do so. I only want to make one slight adjustment to feel that somewhere's lost a tiny little bit of colour, so I'm coming back to my black and I'm just adding a little bit more dark directly under there. Got to be ever so careful with where I put my hand now. Just adding a little bit in there, making sure that window space is nice and dark here. Okay, let's have a look. But yeah, I mean, I'm really happy with it, and if you stayed with me from beginning to end, then well done you, because that's been a mammoth tutorial today. Well, over a span of a few days, to be real. So yeah, and I'd love to see them, so please do tag me in them. Tag me on Instagram, tag me on Facebook, or just send them to me. I'd love to see your works. So I really hope that you've enjoyed this one. It has been long, it has been big, but it's been worth it in my opinion. So until next time, Merry Christmas, and I will see you in January 2025. Take care.